What if the hero was never meant to save us? What if the character we call problematic is actually the most honest mirror we ever had? We grew up worshipping heroes who always knew the right answers, heroes who were pure, certain, and unshakable. But the world we live in now, it doesn't feel that simple anymore. Today, the characters we connect with are angry, broken, morally confused. They don't wear capes, they carry trauma. From anime to Hollywood, from Bollywood to music and pop culture, anti heroes that have taken our screens, our playlists, and our imagination. And that raises an uncomfortable question: why do we see ourselves in them? I'm Chaos with X. Welcome to FAQ Saga, where psychology, culture, and stories collide. Today, we are breaking down the rise of anti hero and what it reveals about us. When heroes were simple, there was a time when heroes were very easy to understand. They were noble, they were moral, they always knew the right thing to do. Superman never doubted, Ram never hesitated, good defeated evil, and order was restored. These stories worked because they promised something powerful: that the world was fair, that justice was inevitable, and that being good would always be rewarded. But slowly, that promise stopped matching the reality. The world became messier, systems failed, power protected itself, and the traditional hero began to feel unrealistic. That's when the anti hero stepped in. And what is this anti hero? An anti hero is not a villain, and they are not just a hero with flaws. An anti villain is someone who doesn't trust moral absolutes, operates outside the system, acts from trauma, anger, and disillusionment, believes doing good often requires doing harm. They don't ask what's right, they ask what actually works. Psychologically, anti heroes represent moral ambiguity, the understanding that human behavior exists in shades of grey. Culturally, they rise when people lose faith in institution, authority, simplistic ideas of justice. Anti heroes don't appear during hopeful times, they appear during fractured ones. Let's talk about anime. Trauma before heroism. Anime understood this long before the rest of the world. Take Eren Yeager from Attack on Titan. Eren begins as a classic hero, idealistic, emotional, driven by justice. But as the truth of this world unfolds, he realizes something horrifying. Freedom isn't protected by morality, it's protected by power. Eren doesn't become evil, he becomes necessary, willing to be hated so his people can survive. His story forces a brutal question: if the world is unjust, can moral purity even exist? Then there's Light Yagami from Death Note. Light isn't driven by pain, he's driven by logic. He believes crime can be erased through fear, the mass murderer can become justice if the outcome is peace. The tragedy of Light isn't corruption, it's certainty. Anime anti heroes often emerge from collective trauma war, oppression, loss of agency. Even Thorfinn from Vinland Saga is shaped entirely by violence. But unlike others, his arc bends towards pacifism, not because he is naive, but he is exhausted by hatred. Anime doesn't glamorize anti heroes, it interrogates them. Hollywood anti heroes tell us a different story. They're born not from war, but from institutional failure. Batman doesn't trust the police, he doesn't trust the court, he doesn't trust the system, so he becomes something illegal to protect something broken. Then there's the Joker. Arthur Fleck isn't a mastermind, he's a neglected man crushed by a society that offers no care, no dignity, and no empathy. The film doesn't justify him, it indicts the system that created him. And then we have Walter White, a man who does everything right and still loses. Breaking Bad isn't just about crime, it's about the world where masculinity, worth, and identity are measured by power. Walter doesn't want money, he wants to matter. And that's why audiences followed him until the illusion shattered. Now let's talk about Bollywood. India has always understood anti heroes. Amitabh Bachchan's angry young man wasn't rebellion, it was realism. These characters was betrayed by corruption, class inequity, broken justice systems, crime became survival. Modern Bollywood continues this evolution. Jordan from Rockstar needs pain to create meaning. Kabir Singh exposes the uncomfortable truth about romanticizing self-destruction. Characters like Pushpa or Ranvijay reflects power, rage, and wounded masculinity. Bollywood anti-heroes mirror a society wrestling with frustration, where playing fair often feels pointless. Now let's talk about music. Music might be where anti-heroes feel most real. Hip-hop thrives on moral conflict. Artists like Kendrick Lamar, Eminem, and Kanye West don't sell perfection, they sell contradiction. Kendrick admits hypocrisy, Eminem confronts self-hatred, The Weeknd romanticizes and condemns toxicity simultaneously. These artists don't want admiration, they want understanding. That's anti-heroism stripped bare. Why we relate to anti-heroes? Because modern life is full of contradictions. We are told to be authentic within limits, kind but competitive, hardworking but disposable. Anti-heroes validate emotions we are told to suppress: anger, resentment, moral confusion. They don't promise salvation, they promise honesty. And in a curated performative world, honesty feels revolutionary. But anti-heroes come with a warning. Understanding them is not the same as excusing them. When trauma becomes justification and cruelty becomes death, when harm becomes aesthetics, the story has failed. The best narratives never let anti-heroes win cleanly. They pay a price. They are mirrors, not role models. What this say about us? The rise of the anti-heroes doesn't mean we've lost our morals. It means we are questioning them. We no longer want fairy tales, we want stories that admit life is unfair, system fails, and good people can do terrible things. We are not searching for perfect heroes, we are searching for truth. And maybe our obsession with anti-heroes is really one shared question. In a broken world, what does it actually mean to be good? Anti-heroes don't exist because we glorify darkness. They exist because we are tired of lies. They force us to confront the reality that morality is messy, that pain shapes choices, and that understanding is harder than judging. But remember this: anti-heroes are not instructions, they are examinations. They don't ask us to become them, they ask us to think. If this story made you uncomfortable, that's the point. This is FAQ Saga, where stories aren't consumed, they are examined. I am Chaos with X, and I'll see you in the next one.